Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Noshin Mukhtar, and you're watching the Business Excellence Show. And as usual, today with me we have Flemming Rontved, and we are going to talk about something really, really important. Now, when it comes to business excellence and success, every company relies on what? What is the biggest factor that makes a company successful? Apart from values, belief system, operating system, and leadership, there are some people who are in a company and they matter a lot. And these people, the group of people, is called team. Good
Absolutely.
morning,
Good
Fleming.
morning.
How are you?
Good morning to everybody. And as usual, we are here. And as usual, we really love your feedback and we really
Oh,
love your
yes.
questions. We really love
Yes.
you to come with some input. That's the way we grow. That's the way you grow. And no questions are wrong or stupid or whatever. We're not in the classroom of the school. We just need to raise the hand and ask and ask and ask. This is the only way we can grow. So,
Exactly. And we
morning,
look
everybody.
forward.
Love to you. Love to Nasheen. And yes. So, what is the focus? What is the focus?
How is everybody's morning? Please share your views in the comments. Tell me about yourself. Tell me the kind of team you are working with. How do you feel about your everyday life at office, at work? We would love to listen to you. We would love to have your input. And of course, you are the most important person in the show. So, Fleming, how is everything? And let's start with the first point first. There we go. What is a high performing team?
What is a high performing team? Yes, it's excellence. It's a team who is very well connected, who have built relationships. You can say when we're focusing us on attributes of a highly performing team, Ken Blanchett said that none of us is as smart as all of us. So we really need to connect. We know that John Maxwell wrote a book about highly performing teams. We know Jim Collins wrote a book, Good to Great. We also know that Patrick Lencioni wrote a book about highly effective teams. So we have a lot of knowledge out there, but is it implemented in the daily work? If we're focusing on the attributes, clear and aligned purpose, vision, purpose, and goals, that's one of the points. And what we really need to do here is to visualize success visioning, visualize for the team what is the goals. If we're taking the leader or the manager, he's a translator. If you're taking a burger, if I can use that pictures because I love to talk in pictures, he's the steak in between the upper management, the boardroom, the C-suite, and all the employees. He got the KPIs, he got all that kind of stuff, which he needs to translate into the team, which could be emotionally driven. We know that 70% of employees are emotionally driven, especially in these ongoing, unexpected changes we have right now. So,
Right
so,
now.
so all the KPIs, all the strategies needs to be translated. So he's the translator between all the, you can say, strategies, KPIs, metrics, all that kind of stuff, which needs to be visualized down into the team. So
Right.
he needs to be very well connected with the team. And not only does he need to be very well connected, he also
Absolutely.
needs to connect the team members. As I said when we started here, we're not in school. Nothing is stupid. Nothing is wrong. The more
Nothing
we
is
can contribute, the more we
true.
can release our ideas, innovation, creativity, the more we can connect and collaborate. That's a
Yes.
highly effective team, in my opinion. What do you
True.
think?
Yes, I agree with you. I love your first point about being connected. Now, connectivity works in two ways. It the entire team needs to have a stronger bond within itself. Everybody in the team needs to be connected with everybody else on a positive note. That is highly essential.
Yes.
Apart from this, then there is this connectivity, having a relationship with the leadership. So every
Yes.
member of your team has to be very well connected with the leadership, so that the
Yes.
communication and the coordination is not only intense and meaningful, but also positive and encouraging. Then the third connectivity comes from the external side, from the side where they're expecting to serve not just the client, but the community at large. So every member of the team has to be connected and should have positive, growing relationships with people externally. So there has to be an external community to support the corporate or the company.
Yes. When we are talking about connection and building relationship, which are one of the building blocks in the most important part of an organization, which is trust. There
Yes.
needs to be trust. As a leader, you've got the authority, but the authority gives you only a whip and a carrot. If you
Yes.
don't build the relationship, if you don't have expertise and judgment as a leader, if you don't have consistency, which means that what comes out of your mouth this comes out of your hand, and again, the picture of the crystal clear picture, and I say picture, I'm not saying words because pictures are 65,000 times stronger. If you can give the team the crystal clear picture of what is winning, because all of us get up in the morning to win. We don't
Right.
get up in the morning to suck. Sorry for using that word, but this is not why we are getting up in the morning. We get up to win, and if we
Yes.
have a crystal clear picture of the vision, the mission, the goals, and everything, and I say picture, and that's why I'm saying the leader is the translator, and he needs to give that. If you're I was looking at LinkedIn the other day, focusing on a picture saying planning, organizing, controlling, and leadership. What we if we take the word controlling, what is that? What is
Controlling
controlling?
leadership. Oh my
It's
God.
micromanagement. Is
It
that
is.
leadership? Is that something that is creating highly performing teams?
No.
We had the talk with Faisa last Thursday in the leadership Build Your
Yes.
Legacy, and she engaged with, as well as I engage with organizations. And if we open up, build the relationship, and we start listening, we can serve the end goal in a great picture and release. That was the other part. And you were very, we talked about that, release the freedom to establish and win.
Yeah. So
But that's
freedom is
what,
extremely necessary. If a leader is not succeeding in bringing that release, if he's not able to make that possible, what happens? There will be blocks, like you
yes,
always say, Fleming. And we need to do away with those blocks in order to make a team perform higher and better.
absolutely. So when I was looking, I can't remember who posted it, but it was something about project management, and that was planning, organizing, controlling, and leadership. I will say not controlling, monitoring. If you as
Manage.
leaders, if you as a leader are monitoring, you are empowering, you're delegating with authority, and you're helping out when needed. You're not
True.
standing behind people and micromanaging them.
True.
You're not focusing on them, constantly judging, criticizing. You're
Yes.
lifting up people, unlocking people, and that maybe I'm the brain surgeon. I realized that I woke up 4 o'clock this morning, and I was actually looking at the Build Your Legacy with Pfizer. And the part is here that I realized I'm the brain surgeon. But if and I go in and I monitor in an organization and give feedback, not necessarily to the single individual, but as a leader, you are a brain surgeon. You have 10, 15, or I don't know how many you have in your teams, but you
Right.
need to unlock their potential. You actually need to know how the brain works. You need to know something about emotional intelligence, energizing your people. You need to know how not to control.
Yes.
and step into monitoring instead. You need to plan. What am I talking about when we're talking planning? One of the biggest issue of leaders is the right resources.
Right.
So to support your team with the right resources, to listen to the team and what are their blocks, what are their blind spots, what are policy, what is the regulations in the company. Because you need your KPIs and all that kind from the management, upper management, that
Right.
needs to be translated into something that your team actually understand and they go for the win.
Yes.
You need to
True.
organize, which means that you need to have the right people at the right seat. I for sure know that if I was placed in, and I think other people I was placed in the wrong position, and they were set up for failure. They were not set up for winning. If you have the wrong position or the wrong seat in the bus, you may be
Yes.
set up for failure because we're not using all your potential.
Exactly. Yes, true. So it's highly necessary. I will take a break from our discussion right now and reply to all the greetings by our dear friends who are with us. Mubarak Ahmed says, Fleming, hello. Hi. Hi, Mubarak. Thank you so much for
Ay
joining us today.
Mubarak, Ahmed. Hello, Fleming. That's to me. Yes,
We
Mubarak
have,
and Samir, please ask some questions, both of you, and others in the program.
and we have Maria.
Maria Elisa do Rosario. That sounds a little bit Mexican. Good morning, Maria.
Morning, everybody. Please drop in your comments. What do you believe is a high performing team? And what are the different features of a high performing team? That is what we are discussing now with Fleming, and your input is very important. So please share with us your views about the characteristics of a high performing team, why it's necessary for us to have a high performing team, what is it about, why you believe it's important. Are you one of the high performing members in your team? And what is your experience of teamwork like?
Yes,
Share
please.
your
What is
stories
what
with
is your experience of teamwork? That I would really love to know what's going on out what's going on out there
exactly.
in these
Yes,
ongoing, unexpected, changing times, which we can say don't expect that to change. It's a very fast-paced
it is.
world we're living in, and some of the things that leaders also need to focus on is that what is urgent, what is important. Sometimes we're busy climbing the wrong Mount Everest. Sometimes we're focusing on urgent, that's human
That's
and
human.
not important. It's very human, and sometimes we are putting aside things that may need a lot more attention because we never got the time to put focus on that. So if we go back to the characteristics of highly performing teams, as I said, clear and aligned purpose, clear roles and responsibilities. Clear
Yes,
roles and responsibilities, building trust, true relationship. We've already been there. Also, the clear roles and responsibility. We each know how to contribute to these goals, or do we? Have we understood how we contribute to goals of the organization?
yes, true. How
Is
we
it
use the best of
communicated?
our abilities to achieve goals, and how we keep ourselves connected and plugged
Yes,
into the system of an organization. We have a comment from Abdul Aziz. He says, I think it's all about getting out the best skills for each of team members with positive attitude and motivation.
absolutely. But I would actually, I love this question because it's actually three things in the same. All about getting out the best skills for each team members. What
True.
does that tell us? If I as the leader need to get out the best skill of each team member, I need to know them. I
You
need to
need to,
understand them.
you need to be connected.
I need to build relationship.
Yes.
If I'm micromanaging, as I said, putting the right person on the right seat in the bus, if I don't know them, I can't find the best skills.
Exactly. And we will not know their strengths. So the point is that we need to rely on strength, but hence the best skill of each team member means we need to know each individual for their strengths. And we need to
Absolutely.
understand them and we need to have a relationship. You're absolutely right, Fleming. And you're
So
absolutely right, Abdul Aziz.
yeah, the point is here that we got several tools to find out of that. We also got seven or four different, you can say, behavioral styles, and we can find those. If we're dropping back to what he said before, positive positivity. That means that we need to give constructive, positive feedback. We, do we know how to do that? It's easy to give positive feedback, but constructive positive feedback. Also, again, we need to know the people.
Exactly.
We need to know how we speak to them also the language we're using. How are we
Yes.
giving constructive positive feedback? I would say we can have a negative situation, but still, I'm as the leader. If I know how the brain works, I can
Yeah.
easily take a negative experience or situation or circumstance
And
and
can,
reverse it to an uplifting, energizing, positive feedback. If I know how the brain works, and if I stop and pause, and if I'm not just reacting, and stop and
okay.
pausing is not 30
So,
minutes.
not reacting is the key word, and the ability to
Yes,
transform negativity into something positive is the next
absolutely.
step is a skill that every leader must have.
Yes, and motivation. How are we motivating people?
Hmm.
That was what he said before. How do we motivate people? If we have a crystal clear picture of the win, we
Hmm.
are going to work every morning to excellence and for a win. That's how human are constructed. Maybe in
Yeah.
a illogical you can say way, and that's where the science brain surgery science of the brain needs to pop in, and that's where we as a leader needs to be equipped. You talked about strengths before. We can talk about obstacles. We can talk about life philosophy. As I said, we have four behavioral styles, and if we know them, we can switch between them, and we can grow them and we can reduce them. Because if I'm supporting giving excellence a person and I'm always over accessing in that area, I become an irritation for everybody surrounding me. So if we have the constructive feedback, and we also, as I said again, we need to understand that we need to understand each other. We're not giving personal critics.
Hmm.
When you're at home and your husband may not put his dirty laundry in the basket, or you ask him to go out with the garbage or whatever, it's nothing about him. It's just a task which needs to be done.
Exactly.
It's it's the ball. We're talking about the ball, the task which needs to be done. I'm
Needs to
not
be done.
talking about you if I'm giving you feedback. I'm talking about the assignment, the task. And that's where humans may tend to take things personal, but it's not personal. It's a job and nothing more. We can go
Nothing
back
more.
to, we can go
Yeah.
back to build relationship. We talked about that. Communicate frequently and effectively.
Hmm.
Collaborate often. That's where we are actually appreciating and encourage diverse
Yes.
thinking. Manage
Yes.
conflict constructively. Learn and adapt. What do you think about learning and adapt? That's what we're talking about now. Because
Exactly. Because learning and adaptation will help the team grow. They will be able to
absolutely,
manage change. They will also be able to handle varying circumstances and unexpected changes around them. We have a comment here from Mogi. He
yes,
says, clear communication, transparency, openness with one another, and optimum teamwork are some of the characteristics of a highly performing team.
yes, I love this. I love this clear communication. And clear communication could be visualizing things, transparent thinking. That's the leader going into the room with the team and saying, we got a challenge, and not saying anymore, just introducing the challenge. Can I get
Yeah.
some feedback on that? And then people will give the feedback. He's not coming with a solution. And if he is in the end coming with the solution, he can say, you know what, I've been thinking of la la la. And what do you think about this? Can I have some feedback? And please be critical.
Sure.
If he
Okay, we
gets
have a
that,
question. We have
yes.
a question from someone just now. Sagar asked, how to handle team with different characteristics and nature for common goals. Common goals and different nature.
Yeah, yeah. I love these questions. How to handle teams with different characteristics in nature for common goals. We have the common goals, which are the common goals, which needs to be translated, strategic goals, KPIs, all that kind of stuff, from the boardroom or for the C-suite. There is the leader who's the translator. How to handle team with different characteristics. You know, I don't know when you're talking different characteristics. Here in Dubai, we got 225 different nations. That means that we have 250, 25 different, you can say, cultures. And we can have 10 different cultures in our team. I have engaged with companies having 60 or 80 or 100 different cultures in their organizations. The part is that the brain is constructed exactly in the same way, no matter culture. No matter where you come from, no matter where you're born, no matter where you grow up, no matter which parents you got, no matter which education you have, it's working in exactly the same way. So, in the moment we have a common goal, we have to visualize this. We also need to connect with emotional reasoning. We can't use logical reasoning here because we're talking to the brain, and it's illogical, it's pattern seeking all the time. And if we start monitoring, as I said before, not controlling, but monitoring, empowering, delegating people, we'll learn a lot about them. We'll learn what's going on in their head. So if we have a common goal, we may have different approach because we built the relationship. We know the people. We know their behavioral style. There are four, and this is 2,000 years old research, strengths and obstacles. We had the conversation with Faisa, and she said, because I was talking about this, about career planning and so on. And you may have a role where we're talking about expectations here. Something is expected from you according to your culture, according to how you grow up, and all that kind of stuff. But in the moment you go beyond that, in the moment you become, as a leader, become the brain surgeon. And you know how the brain works. We know that consciousness works. We're not there very often. We know it works with 2,000 bits per second, and it can accept, reject, neglect, and create. Subconscious in the reaction. But in the moment we pause and listen and get the feedback, we start learning. As I said, you go into your team and say, we have this common goal. We have this we need to do. We how are we solving that? And get the feedback from the people.
Yes.
Yeah,
You know,
you got.
Flemming, I strongly believe, like you have said, that each one of us bring our individuality to the room. And I believe that
Yes,
diversity is a strength. So if we have
absolutely.
a team where people are from different cultural backgrounds and they have learned things in different ways, we are going to find unique solutions and creativity is going to be
Absolutely.
higher.
Because the part is you're
Exactly.
absolutely right. The part is that in our organization we've got different cultures, different social intelligence, but all our clients got the same. Which means that if I'm hiring East or Europe, or not Europe, but East Asia people, I know exactly I'm not going to put a person from Europe to engage with an East Asian client. But if I put people in the right place, they will have, you know, advantages. They understand the culture, they understand the language, they understand a lot of different things, and may understand that the way the client is programmed. That's why we're starting using, you can say,
Absolutely.
excellence. And I think
Okay, next question. Sorry to stop you. Why high performing teams matter at all? Why should we have them? Why should we focus on building high performing teams?
why should we have excellence? It's one of the words we have here. It's one of the words we actually have. We have EFQM, where we are going out doing surveys. We're focusing on customer excellence. We're focusing on employee satisfaction, reports, and stuff like that. So why should we have high performing team? Why does it matter? It's a competitive advantage. The higher excellence, the higher profit you got in your company. The more motivated people, the higher adaptability, the higher productivity, the higher creativity and innovation. And those are things that actually matters in the world today, because the world is changing rapidly. So we need to adjust all the time. As a leader, you need to reinvent yourself every single day, because everything is changing all the time. It's not. I'm a baby boomer. The way I grew up, I ditched, I unlearned everything from, you can say, all what I learned in school and so on. It's not working today. I needed to relearn to be in the world today. We have a lot of different, you can say, we have a lot of different nationalities in our company. We also have a lot of different ages. We have Gen Z, we have Gen Y, we have baby boomers, we have so on. So why, first of all, the first client I got as a leader is my employees. If they are highly motivated, they can easily go out and approach clients, and they'll make a win if they know what is the win, if they have visualized the win. So high performing teams absolutely matter as a competitive advantage. If you have if you have demotivated employees,
They will not be able to grow.
are you closing any deals?
It will be very difficult.
Good. If you have people who's not listening, you see, if the nature of the leader is a nature of listening, how would the approach from the employee to the client be? Because the leader is a role model.
Yeah.
So I met, when we were talking networking, I met a lot of people. I went for a networking group. I think it's about 12,000 people. They're meeting, I think, once a week, and I just paid the 70 dirham to join in. I didn't open my mouth. And we were rotating seats. And this guy sitting in front of me, he was using all the 3 minutes, talking about a lot of stuff, how good he was, the facts, and so on. And since I didn't open my mouth, I was just listening. I didn't get, an opportunity. If this is the way your leader approach you, just speaking all the time and not listening, you will, as a team member, exactly do the same. But is it that a good way to
No.
engage? Is it a good way? Are you closing any deals?
No. See, in order for a team to close deals and in order for a team to be winning, there are multiple factors that count. And the prime factor is clarity on what they are expected to do, their personal alignment with that expectation, their level of motivation. If they are highly motivated and driven, they will certainly go find strategies for winning. But on the other hand, if they are not well connected with the leader, if they do not understand what is expected of them is of higher value, if they are not told regularly that they are a high performing team and they are doing wonderful, which is encouragement, and if they are not motivated, there is no winning and there are no deals.
If they are not told that they are winning, that's one of the things I heard you say.
Exactly.
If you're not celebrating your victories,
Exactly. Even if they're small ones, you need to
yes,
celebrate them.
of
You
course you
need
do.
exactly. You need to encourage. If that's not happening,
Yes.
then nothing is happening.
If you're not encouraging and celebrating the wins, nothing will grow. We that was one of the things when I was working as an employee in a bank in Denmark. I always got the negative feedback, but never the good ones.
Okay.
I always was told what I did wrong and never what I did good.
Ouch. That's not good. Not good.
No, no, that's very demotivating. That's not no encouragement. I don't know. Please, people who is listening, please give us some feedback. Are your boss giving you positive, encouraging feedback? Are you celebrating the victories in your team,
Yes, and also
or are
share
you
with us
only
how does it feel when you celebrate your victories in a team? How does it
yes?
feel?
How does that feel? How are you doing that? Are you doing that at all? And another part is, yeah, I lately I we have a lot of reorganizing out in the world right now. We have a lot of changes from the boardroom, from the C-suite. We have firing, we have hiring, and we have stuff like that. How is the communication? How I met people in an organization where you can say that there was a reorganizing and outsourcing and so on going on in that large company.
Yeah.
And the employees told me that if you can say productivity was reduced with 80%. And
Yeah.
several of employees, normally this company didn't have a lot of retention, but actually a lot of people were thinking of changing job.
Because they were afraid, there was insecurity. If
Yes.
leaders and managers are firing a lot of people very frequently and rehiring new talent too often and not retaining team members, not building unity in the team, people are going to feel insecure. They will start looking for new opportunities. Another factor is, apart from insecurity, if the leaders and the managers are not encouraging people to use their individual characteristics to work on their strengths and to contribute in unique ways into teamwork, even then people will lose motivation and they will start looking for another opportunity, thinking that perhaps this is too dull, too unchallenging. There is no fun working here. So I better look for another place that gives me more opportunity to exercise. This is what I did personally 11 years ago. I told myself, oh my God, this is too dull. There's no growth. Even if I stay here for another, let's say, 3 years, I'll be doing the same thing over and over again. And
So
I'm working at 10% of my real potential. For heaven's sake, this is boring. I need to move on and do something for myself.
so what you're actually touching is when we're talking organizing is people development, is growth. It's giving people, empowering people, and letting people grow. The important part here again is sharing your wisdom, sharing your knowledge, starting empowering people. And it's also, starting delegating. And in the moment you start delegating and nothing is maybe not happening, you start impatience, and then you drag back the task, and then you do it yourself because I don't have time for this. Then there's no growth, and in a moment there's no development, it becomes dull. And the moment you go to work, leaving your brain at home, it really becomes dull. Because
Yes,
if you're just, if you're micromanaged, you're not using your brain. You don't need to take any decisions because you have to ask permission all the time. And you know that the leader or the manager is standing behind you and micromanaging you, and he is criticizing you, which was happening for me all the time. I didn't get, the roses. I got
yes.
all the
Thorns.
what?
All the bushes and the thorns.
Yes. And this is really, really demotivating.
It is
There's
the
nothing more demotivating than get criticized all the time. And as a leader, you don't need to criticize. You don't need to micromanage. You just
exactly.
need to empower and unlock. And no matter, as again said, pause and take a breathe. Breathe. That's the pause. And rethink, not just react. We
Exactly.
had a question or we had a comment just before. What I
I
didn't
want
see
to
it.
share one experience from someone. Uh, Let me play Abdul Aziz's comment. I do believe that celebrating the win is really important. Yes, it is. As you said, so it's push all team members to work with passion and they will be motivated. True. They will be
Absolutely.
motivated to give more.
But absolutely. But, and that's actually negative. Every time you say but, you're reducing what you said before and saying it doesn't matter. If you say and, then it's a totally different situation. If
Okay.
you if you ask your husband, is my dress beautiful? And he says, yes, it's really beautiful, but then he's in trouble. If you said, and if you took this necklace or whatever, then you'll be even more beautiful. Then he's really on top. It's just a but and an
But do
and.
you really expect him to say this all the time? No, I expect something that, so I'm not going to ask him.
Why am I saying that? Because
Yeah.
just the words you're speaking here, and can you pop up the question from Mr. Abdel? Because
Okay.
he's talking about passion. I do believe that celebrating the win is really important. We can agree on that.
Yeah.
As you said, because it pushes all team members to work with passion.
Passion.
It pushes all team members to work with passion. Again, as the leader, you need to know what is their passion. Otherwise, you cannot push and celebrate in the right way. If you have not built a relationship, if you do not know the most preferred behavioral style from the single team member, you cannot
Mm-hmm.
delegate the right task to that person,
Exactly.
and you cannot celebrate with passion. Because
Mm.
we need to understand that we need to have everybody with us. We can't leave somebody outside. Can you follow what I'm saying now?
Yes, true. Absolutely.
Again, as a leader, we have a very, you can say, large responsibility, ability to respond. Do we have the ability to respond? Do we have the ability to lead? Or
Mm.
what are we having ability of? I know that a lot of leaders don't know how the epicenter of performance works. That's psychology, that's brain surgery. It's not a brain surgery, but it's brain knowledge. And if you don't know how the brain works, how can you lead effectively? How can you lead with effectiveness? So passion, and they will be motivated. Absolutely. If I know the passion of yours, Nushin, if I know the passion of every single, you can say, team member, because I built the relationship, then I can motivate. I know, we know that exactly also the words you need to speak to the single individual if you know their behavioral styles. And to
Mm.
know and understand their behavioral styles, you need to raise awareness of that knowledge. The
Exactly.
other part is that when you know that, you can start working with emotional reasoning. When we do goal mapping, when we do passion, when we do build your legacy, we ask
Right.
you to dream. As
Yes.
as a single individual or as a leader, if you want to build your legacy, what do you want people to, what do you want to be remembered for?
Exactly.
That means that you need to look inside of you and you need to stop and pause and start reflecting. When I'm asking you, Nushin, what is your passion? You need to start dreaming. When I'm asking you,
So
what
I
is your
start visualizing, yeah, and that makes a difference. Like Fleming, a long time back, some 15 years back, I used to have a wonderful boss that I still remember. She was very
yeah,
pretty, so she would come every morning and look fabulous. Then
yes,
she would summon all of us into the meeting room, and before we start that day's work, she will give us um, 20 minutes, and what she called was constructive feedback. But
yes,
the constructive feedback was so loaded with criticism. And sometimes she would target some of the team members in such a way that it was embarrassing. And
yes.
since I was very young at that time, and this was my first job, and you know what first job is like, a lot of things that you see around you that are not working, you want to tell the boss it's not working.
Hmm.
You need to fix it. So I used to voice my opinion, the person as I am, very openly in those meetings. And at the end of the year, she fired me.
So, what you
It
got was a
took
bad
me,
example. First of
yes,
all, what you told me here is 15 years ago, and you remember it as clearly as yesterday.
yes, I even
Okay,
remember her sentences that she used to use in the
yes.
meeting.
This is not a good way of learning because you remember her because she was very, very critical. She was embarrassing single team members in front of everybody else. You even remember the way, the words she was speaking. And telling me that is this is the bad example of how you absolutely not should be. But it made an expression, it got downloaded into your subconscious.
Yes.
So the part is here that if you're pressed up, if you are in a pressed situation, you may release these ways of behavior. Can
Okay.
you follow what I'm saying now? And you're not even aware of that. But this is absolutely how you do not want to be as a leader. But she was
Exactly.
not looking
No,
at you. She was not looking at you as a
she
person
never,
she could learn something from.
one thing, she always thought I will, what was on her mind from the criticism that I used to receive on my work, she strongly believed that I cannot be in the position where she was. So hence in her eyes I had no potential to be a leader. That was one point. Secondly, when she fired me, a lot of people left that company.
Yes, yes,
So literally she had to do another team because everybody left.
yes. You're
And
touching
those
too.
morning meetings turned out to be poor practice because
Yes.
instead of making use of that time to build positivity, to motivate her team, she was perhaps doing some damage.
She was, you're touching two essential things here because I remember also situations here. I remember I was an employee in a bank and the HR or the strategic department appointed a leader. That leader had 250 employees. It was a branch of 10 people. He
Okay.
had 250 employees through his system. As you can say, the HR or the whoever appointed this guy, they need to resonate. If you have a branch of 10 people and you have 250 people going down, that means that you're replacing this branch to 25 times within a couple of years. Then you must acknowledge or accept that you made a wrong decision as the management. And you need to take this leader away. This is not happening, not even in Denmark, because somebody needs to admit they made a mistake in the leadership. It's not happening. The other part is that when you are getting a lot of people, you have a lot of retention in your organization. You also everything is going down. Nobody wants to stay there. Clients are leaving. Key account managers, if every time I changed my job, I took away my clients because they were related to me. They were not related to the brand.
Yes.
So everything needs to be rebuilt. It's a large cost. First of all, you need to put people in, you need to put them in introduction programs, you need to train them, you need to all that kind of stuff. And then you have the people leaving. So you have a lot of traffic and you have exceptional cost as an organization. Very high cost, training cost, very high cost of clients because again, clients coming in the bank, you need to establish everything. It takes time. And when they leave, you need to undo it again. So everything is just a cost. So retention of workers really need to be reduced or very small because otherwise you just have a lot of cost in the organization. And
Yes.
here I actually had another company who was having a problem with a fleet manager. And it was employees didn't trust him, the organization didn't trust him. And they wanted me to find a new fleet manager doing recruitment for them. And I said, how bad is it? It's his second warning, they told me. Is there any chance he can be developed? Or do you really need to remove him? He was the leader. So it would be cheaper for the organization to develop and grow the guy if he was open for growth. The woman you're talking about was not open for growth. She
Yeah.
was looking at every single individual as a king or a queen, which could not learn her anything.
Right.
She was knowing everything, and nobody could teach her anything. Here in this situation with the fleet manager, uh, we agreed on that. I had a couple of conversations with the guy, and he realized that he didn't know anything about brain surgery. He didn't know a lot about the brain, and in the moment he actually start, implementing what we are talking about, he got intrinsic change, not
Right.
extrinsic. Extrinsic is outside, intrinsic. And in the moment he started that, everything changed for him. And he actually became one of the best leaders in the organization because he was prepared to accept that he needed to learn something. So,
So,
so, so as an organization, you need to use measurements, metrics, and that when we talk freedom of the employees, when we're talking freedom of employees, they really need to give feedback,
yes.
and it needs to be honest feedback. But most people may not give honest feedback because they fear retaliation.
Yes. See, when it
You
comes
got
to taking and giving feedback, Fleming, again, I will bring back the point where we started from.
mm,
When we're talking about taking and giving feedback, the
yes,
word relationship comes in.
absolutely,
You will be able to give more effective feedback to your team if you know them and you understand them and you have a relationship with them on
absolutely.
a deeper level. You will not be able to work on their strengths if you do not know what their strengths
No.
are. Hence, the feedback will go to the ears, and you will end up saying things that they don't want to listen to. And if they're not listening, they are not working, and your feedback is useless.
So what you're describing here is a bad circle because you do not build a relationship.
Yeah.
If we go back to the woman who fired you, she saw you as an obstacle and a competitor.
She
The
saw
other
me
part
as
you told
someone,
me,
yeah, she saw me as someone with big mouth and lots of ideas who's not accepting
yeah, the other
what she
part
said
is
every
that,
morning and
yeah,
was willing to give her a new idea to replace the old ideas. So she felt kind of, what is this?
the other part is that you told me that a lot of other people were leaving the moment you left. So what we're touching here is very, very essential because constructive feedback, if you know the most preferred behavioral style in the single individual of your team, and we've got 26 different tools to measure that, then you know exactly which words, which pictures to serve to that individual
Right.
to get that person to listen. So in the moment you take the conversation, because if this woman had taken the conversation with you, you would have found out that, she's not going to listen whatever I say. And then I
Yeah.
can resign. Now you got fired. As a leader, if you want to put people in the right seat, you need to know who they are. As a leader, if you want to delegate, you need to know who they are.
Yes.
Because if you're delegating the right task to the right person, if we know we have reasoning people who is data oriented, we know action people who is action oriented. If you give an assignment of collecting data to an action person, he's dying. If you give a task or several tasks to an excellence person who can't prioritize, that person will die and burn out.
Yes.
So if you don't know your team, if you don't use the tools we actually have, if you don't focus on how the brain works, the epicenter of performance,
Yeah.
then we cannot excel because
So
you're using the wrong language. Also in constructive feedback, if you can use three tools. If you have a guy who is not promoted and he expected to get the promotion, but if you're taking the talk with him and have built the relationship with him, and you have this, you can say, conversation, you can his angriness, his disappointment of not getting the promotion, this energy which is negative, you can reverse it to positive energy
yes. True.
in that conversation. Because you actually go in and connect with his inner critical voice, or you don't want to go in, you want to connect with his not inner critical voice, but his inner critical coach.
Yes, I have a comment from someone which is very interesting.
Yes.
Mr. Abdul Aziz says, yes, those managers do this due to insecurity. And I think that this case happens only when those managers become managers only by staying in the same organization for a very long time, forgetting that the market moves very fast and they need to learn more.
I don't know, those managers do this. I don't know what is referred to here. But if
He's
I'm
referring to perhaps the lady who was my manager
yes.
and was not accepting my points in the
Yeah,
meeting and was
but
asserting herself.
yeah, and then Abdel is absolutely right. Due to insecurity, there is no confidence in this woman who fired you. If she had confidence, she would not at all treat people critically. She was locking them up by inviting to a constructual meeting with an obstacle or a challenge or an opportunity. And this only happens when those managers became managers only because they stay in an organization. So why do managers become managers? Because this is a way of promoting people. You have the best sales guy in a team and you move him up because he's the best sales guy, but then you're losing two times because There are somebody who don't like the best sales guy because he may be competitive. They are resigning because they don't like the boss or the manager. Then you lost your best sales guy because now you promoted him to a manager or a leader. The part here is that he may not have any skills of being manager leader at all. And that's where I come in. Because if you want to do that in an organization, and most people are actually promoted because of what they have done in the organization. Hello. So most people are promoted because of what they have done in the organization. They may not have any skills of leading or managing at all. And
One
that's what
minute.
happens.
Yes,
Yes,
1 minute, please. You continue with the discussion. One
yes.
minute, please.
And that's actually what happens in a lot of places. And if they're not growing, if they not learn how to lead or to manage in the right way to get their team to become highly effective,
Yes.
then you got a problem. Because removing the best sales guy or whatever this person has done in the organization without equipping him with leadership skills, without equipping him how is the brain working, without equipping him how to manage and lead, then you got a problem because
In this case, usually larger corporates train the people they are promoting for a new position,
yes,
and that helps them. But in
but
smaller companies, if the training is missing, this could be the problem, like you're discussing.
yeah, but I'm talking about how are you really going to show excellence? How are you really going to create highly effective teams? Because this is a competitive advantage to set people up to win. So what we're talking here is how does the brain work? We're talking about social intelligence, conformity, conditioned limited belief, automated thoughts that are no longer serving people but and they are not even aware of. We're talking emotional intelligence, how to energize people, how to behavioral intelligence, how to know what is the most least preferred behavioral style in my team, which also, if they know that, will give them competitive advantage when they are engaging with clients. We're talking about mental intelligence where we're actually starting removing ants, automated negative thoughts or conformity thoughts or lack of purity thoughts with things that's benefiting people for in the end to go for enlightenment, which is taking the universe into your leadership too. So if we do not have that focus, we're just you know giving them something that is not brain related.
Yes.
you know
Sometimes.
when I'm talking with my colleagues in this area, they are working with large organizations. They're working with Google, they're working with Coca-Cola, they're working with a lot of organizations where we're talking about elite sports people. How do they perform? What are their motivators? If you're talking about, and you talked critics before, if you take a lead sport person, he's really criticized. How is he coping? Everybody, every single person in the world knows better than he and
You
actually
know,
criticizing the guy.
exactly. And the worst part happens when the entire team goes away. And you have to recruit the entire team once again. So imagine the work that has been done on a team already in the period of 1 year's time, and at the end of the year, when you should be feeling confident that your team has performed and is going to outperform themselves in the next year, which is starting, they actually leave instead of outperforming. It's going to
You
be like
you
a
have
disappointment.
such a lack of wisdom in the moment your retention is high. In the moment you have people going in and out of the organization, then you're really lacking wisdom. How is things done? What are we doing? What is going on? How are we engaging with
Yes.
clients? If people are disappearing, you need to rebuild that again and again and again and again and again. It's
Yes.
an
So
extreme cost. Another part, as I said, reorganizing management, demotivating employees is a super big cost too. Demotivated employees, you can measure absenteeism, that is sickness, but you don't measure demotivated employees. People coming to job negative, people coming to job with joint and muscle pains because they got insecurity. They're not informed. They are not communicated. There is no clarity. This is just a cost, which is not measured in any organization at all. So the
yes,
leader,
absolutely.
the translator, which are the leader, which are the steak in the in the burger,
Yeah.
is very, very important in every single organization. If he's not equipped in the right way, and I'm talking brain science, then you can have a big problem. There's so many things which could be changed if we're talking about what we've been talking about today. You can see the questions,
All the
motivated,
true.
passion. It's all about building relationship. In the moment you start building a relationship, you know what's going on at home at the single employees. You're not just sticking out orders.
Yeah.
Now we got a COVID, so you need to stay at home. You're working from home the next 10 days. This is the only message. There's no other messages. You just need to stay at home. Okay, fine, then I'll stay at home. But and yet many people are staying at home. So
Yes,
do
there's still teams
organizations
working
have
from. Yeah.
weekly huddles where you're engaging, well, where you're talking and celebrating your victories? That was one of the things we talked about. You need to celebrate. But if you have 10 team members who are sitting at home, all of them, how are you celebrating?
Hmm.
In these times, in the old days, what I did, I just sometimes we have a challenge. We need to deliver this tomorrow. I'll go buy pizza
For
and then
everyone. Yeah.
for everyone. Are
Okay,
people doing
perfect.
that? It means a lot to buy a pizza. Actually, that's a simple thing. Just to give your employees food if they need to stay over. Or you're just expecting them to do that. Thank you. Because if we just, you know, if we are using the carrot and the stick, people are not going home. I talk with employees in banks in this area who should have, I don't know, I think 10, in Denmark it's 8. I don't know what's a normal weekday, what's a normal day are in work hours. Is it 10 hours or how your employees, how long time are they
Eight,
working every day?
eight, eight.
8 hours
Hmm.
and they are working 6 days a week?
For me, yes. We are working
Yes,
6 days.
that's normal. 6 days a week, 8 hours. But many employees, without even getting paid for it, are working 12 hours. This is just expected. And they're not saying anything because they fear retaliation.
Hmm. Oh, okay. But working 12 hours or 10 hours is too much, no? What do you say, Fanny? For
It's
me,
all
it's
too
too much.
much. It's all too much.
Too
Eight
much.
hours is enough. 8 hours is all
Yeah.
enough. You cannot, your brain cannot comprehend. You need, again, as a single individual, how often do you celebrate your wins? How often do you celebrate your wins?
We do lots of fun activities. We have at least one day out of office every week where we have that pizza thing together.
Okay.
And we love doing the selfie thing. It's fun. So
Yes.
we have more fun activities in our office. We socialize a lot. Then we host different evening events. So on
Okay.
days of evening events, we work very little because we know
Mm.
we will be meeting up for fun at night. So we have lots of activities actually for team bonding, for fun, to give ourselves break from work stress, and to feel good. So we do the feel good part a lot.
The feel good part. So you're actually talking and you know all about your employees as well as they know all about you.
Yes.
So you're building relationship and you're celebrating with pizza and stuff like that.
So in our morning meetings, we often sit down, and when we are reviewing performance, we talk about strengths, each other's strengths, and we see how we can work on those to make the
Yeah.
next few weeks better than they were before.
Hmm. Good,
That's what we
good.
do. Yeah.
So you're actually sharing and creative and actually focusing on I'm not saying mistakes because I or failures. I don't like those words because life is a process of becoming. And when we focus on life as a process of becoming, then I just learn something new every single day. I never make mistakes. But
Yeah, yeah.
with this is another way of seeing things. This is a different perspective. Because if you're making failure or mistakes, you're judged. But if I as a leader go to you and say, you know what, I noticed, I really want to help you. Because focusing on what happened before, how do you yourself see what was going on?
Yeah.
How did you approach the client? What was the result? And what's going on here?
Yes.
Could it
So
have been
sharing
done in a different
experiences is
way?
important.
And then you ask again, could it be done in a different way? And then it's up to the single individual to evaluate. And then you can, okay, fine, yeah, that could be a great idea. Have you thought of? It's very simple. It's not that difficult. What if, where to, what was happening? How do you see it yourself? And those are questions you can use in a constructive feedback session.
Yes. Very true. Very true. All right. Thank you so much,
Great.
Fleming, for wonderful insights, amazing tips. We shared a lot of experiences. Thank you very much, everybody in the audience, for
Yes.
joining us today, asking meaningful questions, giving us input through your comments. We look forward to meeting you again next week with Fleming, and we will talk about another topic. You can always write to us via LinkedIn and
Mm.
give recommendations, suggesting different issues that we should be addressing in business excellence for you.
Absolutely, absolutely. The more you want to listen, or the more, if you have something, give us feedback of the subjects. We are here for you, and we are here to serve you, and we are here to encourage you and motivate you to go into freedom zone.
Certainly. All right. Have a great day, Fleming. Everybody, you too. Enjoy your day. Take care. Bye bye.
Take care. Bye bye.